Okay, so let's get started. If I do the voice thing, I'm going to blast everyone out of the room. This is super sensible. Wow. Okay, we're going to be very careful. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to NoVA UX. I'm glad everybody here could join us this evening. Welcome to Word Excella here, who have sponsored and hosted the event. Big thank you for the pizza and the beer. We're going to hear a little bit more about Excella and the speakers this evening a little bit. As you guys, anybody who's been here before knows, I'll do a little spiel here at the beginning. But welcome, everyone. We're really excited to be here this month. This is our April event. It's a little late in April, sorry. May is going to be right around the corner, just 3 weeks from now. So I'm here. Actually, the entire NoVA UX team is here this evening. I'm here. Where's Will? There's Will. Will King, Alex, Alexao. Where's Jane? Jane Robbins. And Jody Thomas. Where's Jody? Jody, hey. So yeah, we've picked up some co-organizers. So there's 5 of us now. We're going to be organizing events. This helps kind of move things around. As you guys can see, we're going to start having these in more places out and about around Northern Virginia and such. So we're super excited to be here this evening. So let's see. So tonight, we're going to be talking about change management and UX. Before we get started, if anybody wants to use the Wi-Fi, the info is up there, and it says Excella guest with E and the G capitalized, and the password is lowercase Excella 2300. So we'll use the Wi-Fi. That's what that is. So a couple questions we ask every month. How many people here are new, first timers? All right, excellent. Welcome, welcome. How many people are coming back? Been here before? So for number 2, almost 50-50. Excellent. All the new folks, welcome. We do this every month. For almost 5 years now. June's going to be our 5th birthday, and those who have been here with us for a while know that we have cake and celebrate. I'm really excited about June. I won't tell you what it's going to be. We're working on it, but it's going to be really cool. We do this every month, so bear with us. How many people here are hiring? Okay. Keep your hands. I'm going to start over here with Norm. And so what we do is just really briefly. Who are you looking for? What are you looking for? And what you guys do. We'll kind of go around the room really quickly. So, Norm, you want to start?
Sure. I'm looking for a senior UX manager to join my team, working on helping fix the integration process.
Excellent. Excellent. Who else had their hand up? Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Park. I lead the change management practice at Excella, and we're looking for junior change management analysts to join our team.
Excellent. Junior change management analysts. All right. Who else had their hand up? Who's going to go this way? Go ahead.
We are a young startup at University of Maryland, and we are looking for intern in UX, a UX intern who can work on our first MVP.
Excellent. Cool. University of Maryland. Okay. Who else had their hand up? Moving this way. Go ahead.
Jeff Gilbert from Big Teams and the founder and product manager there, and we're looking for somebody to do some just part-time work. Jeff is bigteams.com, just part-time UX work. Thanks.
Excellent. Who else? Do you have any comments? Go ahead.
Yep. Looking for freelance contractors, layers, looking to do stuff around the space of IoT, helping with brand stuff for biotechnology, solving vaccines, cancer, DNA. I don't do that, but brand new stuff.
Excellent. Wait, was freelance what?
Freelancers.
Freelancers. Designers. All right, excellent. Who else had their hand up? Go ahead, Jody.
I'm Jody Thomas. I'm at Couple One, and we are looking for UX designers, visual designers, mainly at the senior designer or manager.
Excellent. Who else? Go ahead.
My name is Walter. I'm from Specialist Involved, and we're looking for a contractor for UX designer to help us out with our EMR application, telehealth.
Cool. Excellent. All the way in the back.
My name is Ahmed Hussein. For voice user design. not his natural voice. So,
And a quick plug for Matt, he does need out when we think of his voice. Really, really cool. And he just listed one over at the ABS, all about us. And in fact, that's what we heard about. A lot of really contextual voice. Yeah, very cool.
I that's the first time I've heard someone ask for voice interface design. That's cool. It's the future. It's happening right now. Excellent. Anybody I missed? Okay, raise your hands one more time. I'll do this again at the end. So if anybody here is looking for a contract, looking for a position, looking for an internship, look around. We'll be socializing after the event. We've made some great connections at these meetups. So we like to keep doing that. Makes us all feel good inside. Oh, I forgot to mention. So I'm the Senior Director of User Experience and Contextually now. So I used to be at Advis at Oracle. Now I'm at Contextually. And we're a CRM for small businesses, which is really fun work. And we are looking for all kinds of engineers. So I'm hiring too. So yay. Excellent. So next month we're going to be talking mobile app design, Capital One, which is going to be a lot of fun, and that's going to be hosted at Viget in Falls Church. So really cool space. This one. And excellent. So without further ado, let's get started. Norm is going to talk a little bit about Excella, and then kick us off with our speakers. For the folks who are on the live stream, hello internet. You're going to be seeing the slides all evening. The speakers are going to kind of come and go from the shot, but we're going to keep it on the slide so you can see what's going on. They'll come over this way and leave. So if they leave the shot, don't be concerned. And yeah, excellent. And you should be able to hear with the mics, we hope. So let us know if you can. Norm, what do you mean?
Thanks, Jim. Hi, my name is Norm Sun, and I think I know quite a bit of you out here. And if you don't, please feel free to come say hi. So I'm the design lead here at Excella. I've been here for just under 10 years now. And I've watched this company grow to about 250 people. We have about 20 designers here working in 3 streams, whether it's content design, user interface design, / visual design, or user experience design. So we work on projects that promotes public good, and whether it's in the government or in the private space. So it's a lot of fun working on these kind of projects. And yeah, we're all happy to have you here. And if you see any pizza here at the end of this event and you want to take some home, please do, because I think it will be well served there. And lastly, after this, I'm going to see if I can work on the AC, because that's a little bit toasty here. I'm just gonna see if I can fix that for all of you. But yeah, and after that, I'll hand it over to Sarah.
Thank you. So we're going to try this mic out. Hi, everyone. Can people in the back hear me? If I am screaming, for those of you who are close, please just ask me to stop. Yeah, we'll work through this together. We had 2 mics, so Kareem's going to have the stand-up comedian mic while I have the Madonna Britney Spears version. So that was really loud also. So to kick things off, change is hard, but doesn't have to be. So we're going to help you navigate through change management and UX. So a few housekeeping logistics. Again, thank you, Excella, for hosting us. If you need to use the restroom, if you go right out the door and you turn right, you'll walk past the elevators, take a left, and the bathrooms will be on your left. Please feel free to get up, go if you need to. No distraction. Also, we have a few open seats, so if you're not currently sitting at a table, we are going to do some exercises and workshops and things. So if you could head over to a table or find a group to kind of buddy up with, that would be great as well.
Cool. So, wow, that, again, really loud. So a little bit about us. So my name is Kareem. I'm a UX consultant here at Excella Consulting. Previously, I did a lot of research at Hopkins about memories and why people remember things, which is not that exciting, mostly because it involved like cutting rap rates all the time. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. On that note.
Yeah, I've got nothing, so I'm just gonna head out.
Yeah.
Got this. I have not cut rap brains up. I've been with Excella since December of 2015. My background is in organizational management, and I've been doing change management for a little over 7 years now. So it's a great exploration tonight of the intersection of our 2 areas, and so we're excited to share that with you. To kick things off, though, we'll go to the next slide. We're going to do an exercise together. So this, I don't know if everyone saw my hand, this is my first time here tonight. So thank you for being so kind and welcoming, and thank you for having us. But I kind of wanted to see what you guys could do. From what I've heard from Harim and other attendees, there's varied skill sets and there's different things, strengths, weaknesses, novices, experts. So I kind of wanted to see what you had and what you brought to the table. So we're going to start with a little bit of an exercise, if you guys will indulge us. And we thought, what's the best thing to do? An exercise is tacos.
Yeah,
Tacos.
pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, we're going to do a taco exercise with you.
So the prompt is to design an app or a website about tacos. That's all you got. There are 3 rules. Each table will receive a design challenge. This is your design challenge. We are your stakeholders. You are required to ask us questions about your specific product, whatever you choose to build. But we have to like it, and you have 10 minutes. So you guys can get started right now.
So as we said, get in a group, quickly gather, organize, get started. Start designing and developing something for us. So again, just to reiterate, we are your clients. So impress us. that is. Sorry about that. We actually had a typo in the exercise when we talked about tacos. It's taxes. So if you could design towards taxes, that would be great. And again, the time is ticking. Also, guys, some of you are, attention, some of you guys are jumping around and taking this kind of lightly. Like, please take this seriously. We must still have time and effort in this exercise. So if you could try, that would mean a lot. So please take it seriously. Act as though we're your clients. So thank you. Hey guys. So I know we said, I know that we said it was taxes. It was actually tacos. So if you guys could go back to designing for tacos. And I know we said 10 minutes, but really got 1 minute left. Thank you. That's great. Also, please be prepared to present in 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, so if everybody can turn your attention back to the front. Everybody, time is up. Please be quiet. Okay. Enough is enough. Table in the back, I hear you. All right, everyone. Okay, so at random, I'm going to pick a table to present. Like this table. You guys can present your design, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, so we discovered that the stakeholder like loves tacos and is into VR and is energetic and fun. And so we found that we're going to make an app that is in virtual reality where they can build their own tacos and eat them.
Cool. So I didn't actually say I was making VR. You just asked me what kind of technologies I would be into, and I was like, sure, VR is fine. But thank you though.
It actually makes me really motion sick, so I don't like and I don't tacos and that don't work. I didn't say that. Yeah. This is awkward. Okay, let's see if another group could do better. Let's try this group in the back corner.
Okay.
So from this group.
So we came up with an app that we utilize beacon technology. It's going to be for a taco truck. You can personalize your own food, so it can also be deliverable, whether in like for your business event or personal stuff too. And we kind of focused a lot on our actual product, the taco, and what makes a difference from other tacos. It's not your average Taco Bell. So we're going to have the classic Mexican ingredients, but it's also going to be like a fusion thing with like Indian tikka masala with chickpeas, or like a Mediterranean taco. So you customize it however you want, and it's called Loco Taco. And hashtag taco me crazy. Social media.
I think applause is a little premature.
So yeah, you mentioned it's not like Taco Bell. Multiple people here contest. I love Taco Bell. I don't remember ever saying that it shouldn't be like
She
Taco
makes
Bell.
us steer dangerously off roads
Yeah.
to specifically at Taco Bell. So I don't know if that's like, did you bring one of your Loco Tacos, Taco Me Crazy tacos with you for us?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we have it?
Yeah.
It's a hard pass.
Then you know, kind of.
But really nothing. So I think we're done. We don't really need to hear anything else. This was kind of disappointing. Would you say?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the very next thing we need to do is
Let's talk about it.
nailed it. Who's saying that?
Yeah, that's literally the reason we picked a taco-based app or website, so we can use the slide. And it looks like it's done the job, so we're pretty good about it. Okay, but really, let's talk about it. So I guess we want to hear, we were really annoying and we're sorry. I would say we're not usually like this, but that's not true. We kind of are. So I guess I want to hear from you guys about like what was frustrating about that experience. What got in the way of you guys producing, I wouldn't say your best product, but like any product at all. And what would have made designing this a little bit easier? So
I'm just going to capture some of the things you guys say. So how are you feeling right
You
now?
didn't tell us what the problem is. Big problem.
So,
Define
discovery. So,
problem. Yes.
okay, what else do we have?
Mine wasn't always
that doesn't sound normal.
Changing requirements. Client was evasive in answering questions.
We like to try and mingle with you before so you can see that we're actually decent people. And then we'll hear
After
after
if you want to talk.
Yes, we're willing. What else have we heard? Conflicting priorities?
conflicting priorities, conflicting requirements.
Criticism wasn't very constructive.
Well put. Could put better,
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, competing teams. I was gonna say unavailable. Yeah.
You can put competing teams. That can be difficult. Adds an extra layer to the stress.
I'm not fine.
Okay.
Weird. Shifting deadlines. Anything else? Cool. So, why did we do this activity? Really, it's mostly because a lot of situations you guys face are similar to this. So we use that 30 seconds. You guys can look at
Can everyone read them?
For this. And this. Yeah, so it sounds about right.
So the moral of our story is change happens, and change happens in a variety of ways, and can be scaled very differently and can impact people in different ways. So some examples of some changes that we've seen, promotions in new roles. So you transitioning into a new role, how do people receive that? How do you feel in that experience? Something that seems trivial, moving desks, but if you are an employee who has been in an organization for 30 years, every day you go to that same desk, grab that cup of coffee, you talk to your friends, all of a sudden you're moved to a different corner with new people. That can be extremely disruptive. New leadership, so an organizational change, being acquired. Something in DC that we've seen be very relevant is an administration change. So I don't know how many, show of hands, how many of you have worked with or have federal clients? This really is helpful in this example then. So a quick example of administration change impacting, I was working for a client that had an office of communications. And within that, there are politicals. And when the administration changed, Thursday came and they packed up their things and they left. And we had created a cadence with one another. We had a rapport. There was a connection. There were ways that we helped each other, and we really established a process that allowed us to navigate through a lot of the situations that were being thrown at us. And when the new administration changed and new politicals were transitioned into these roles, we had to start from ground zero. So it's really difficult when priorities change and personalities change, and the things that you've become accustomed to are completely shaken up. So what happens when change occurs? Resistance. Another thing is resistance manifests in many different ways. So people think of resistance as rising up and holding signs. Resistance can also be sitting silently in a meeting and no longer contributing, whereas you might have in the past. You might have been the guy who always got the coffee and put it next to the coffee pot. Your desk moved. There's no coffee left for anyone else anymore. Now you've affected everyone around you. And it seems like a little thing to do, but people find ways to work things in. So you can resist on a large level, storming off and leaving, or something that's seemingly, again, as trivial as not being the person who brings the coffee in anymore.
Yeah, so I think those are great general examples, but also as designers, we face resistance to change all the time. Everything from changing clients to just yesterday, Sarah and I were trying to collaborate on a visual. She uses Illustrator and Photoshop, and I use Sketch, and they're not compatible. And so that is a change that was a little bit difficult to manage. Design standards and changes to design standards, changes to colors can also kind of be a little disruptive. Obviously, changing administration, changing priorities as well. So at this time, we'd like you, there's a lot of stuff to write on at your desks, but if you take a Post-it, we'd like you to take just like 3 moments, write down a time when the innovation to make you about change and what made it a little bit harder than it otherwise would.
And when you're writing it down, please keep in mind that we will be sharing. So please make sure what you're writing down, you're comfortable sharing in a small group and with the greater group as well. It can be any time you face it, so you can present it, seeing it or experience that people on your team Okay, so we're going to ask, we're going to circle back to this. Yes, I said circle back. I apologize for the consultant lingo. It does bother me as well. We're going to circle back to this in a little bit. But if anyone wants to share initially, is there any time that you faced a change, you've resisted, you've observed resistance, anything you'd like to share? Yes, thank you.
Sure. We had, at one time, our company was really doing Scrum a lot, and there was one team that was very visible, and they failed dramatically. And so the senior management said, no more agile anything. Back to waterfall. And then we've struggled to get back to really agile workplace since then. And so some people, even when we say agile, like, no.
I think that's a great demonstration of the availability heuristic. So if something happens and that's the information that's readily available to you, then that's what you rely on. So that is a challenge, and we'll hopefully give you some tools to navigate through that. Would anyone else like to share? Sure.
One time, I had a current project manager who wanted a certain feature on a tool, and then he got deployed. And then we had a second project manager who was kind of staying in with him until he came back, and had a completely different idea of what the goals were. So I was kind of caught in the middle, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. But yeah,
That's difficult.
a little bit.
Yes. Does anyone else? Oh, yeah. If you, this is a safe space. If you'd like to share, please feel free.
Of course, yeah. So people always want to talk about kind of proposed solution challenges established practices. That's something that internal politics are always things that see a lot of resistance. And often when the design starts off as too creative, out of the box, or too blue sky, like we in my experience as it's been a big using
Thank you for sharing. We have one more. I think we have. Oh, I think I said 2 hands. Oh no. Okay, we'll do one more. Yes. I should do both of you. Again, safe space. I want everyone to have a voice. Okay. Well, let's go. We'll go in the front first, and then we'll finish off in the back.
Yeah, so big web redesign, and the web team was responsible. Basically, they were the bottleneck for all content, all publishing throughout the entire organization. And with the new redesign and content strategy, it was going to actually distribute the publishing roles throughout the entire organization, so everything didn't have to funnel into them. So, number one, lots of changes on the team in roles, but also in what their actual day-to-day was going to look like. You know, am I going to be writing? Am I just going to be publishing? Am I going to be editing? So lots of questions going on, and also just uncertainty about whether they would have a job.
Yes. We have one more in the back. Yes, it was. Sorry, I have a pointing. No worries. Sorry, I don't know your name.
I'm Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
So I work in a kind of small consulting firm within a large corporate company, and so a lot of times our job is to be like advocates for user-centered design, and so in generating content for things like proposals, a lot of people we work with internally hate to let go of the words instead of replace that with visuals, and so sometimes we'll get decks and white papers and graphics that just say a lot, and we have to convince them that maybe we can replace this with something else that's more visually engaging because no one can read it. So it's really big.
And getting buy-in from people who are skeptics or don't necessarily know the value is something that we see all the time. So how can change management help? So change management, having a change management mindset, is intended to reduce the impact that change is having on people, organizations, cultures. As we've talked about with resistance, change in and of itself is disruptive, and the people being impacted always take that one step further because that's who is being impacted by this change. Whether it's at the employee level, the user level, customer, client, change really does impact everyone in one way or another. And so how do we help as change management analysts, change champions, just someone who's interested in general and making their team work more efficiently and effectively, connect on a different level, communicate better. One of the components that we work on a lot is with personal growth and development. So there's a coaching component. How can we help elevate the people we're working with to be more effective within their teams and in the work they're delivering? How can they, through these improvements, elevate the products they're working on, deliver more efficiently and shorter time frames, but with greater quality? Clear communication, so exploring the communication channels that people are using. Not everyone receives messages on Slack the same. Not everyone loves reading an extensive newsletter that is comprehensive for the entire year, yet we get it once a month. And sometimes it's the same. There's a lot of different ways you can interact and communicate with people. and how are we finding those effective channels? Managing expectations through processes. So how can we be consistent in the efforts that we're doing to manage expectations? And then creating a level of understanding, encouragement, and ultimately empathy.
Yeah, and something that Sarah and I saw early on is, our fields kind of, initially, I did not think that they aligned as well as they kind of end up doing. So early on, when we think about user experience here at NoVA UX, we think about, here at UX, we design prototypes for managing requirements, for reducing pain points, and change management.
We design engagement strategies, so how people are interacting with each other, with their stakeholders, with their community. We manage expectations, and we reduce the impact of change.
But I think what it all comes down to is there's a key overlap that our two fields have, and that really comes down to empathy. There's a lot of processes that are similar between the two of our fields, but I think the one thing that Sarah and I kind of kept overlapping with over and over again is this idea that we're always trying to understand somebody else a little bit more than you might have originally understood.
So change management really provides you with this mindset, with this lens to navigate through these conversations, through resistance, through uncertainties, very much like we heard with roles. Are my skills relevant? Do I have a job any longer? And all of the different impacts that change ultimately has. So at Excella, one of the things that we ground ourselves in, rather than having the 4 C's or the 7 W's or the 6 L's, we've created pillars that we say are the foundation. So you can kind of pick from these a la carte, but you'll recognize pretty quickly how interconnected they all are. So the 3 pillars that we've established are communication, engagement, and processes and procedures. So with communication, how can we communicate clearly and consistently? And you'll have a handout on your desk that outlines not only questions, a little bit about change management as well. So you have 2 handouts, and we'll touch on those a little bit more in a moment. With engagement, so I've talked about a safe space a little bit. How can you create a space where people can ask questions, voice concerns, have a sense of community, without the fear of repercussions? And then with processes, how can we create a repeatable process? So I think that one of the things that we've noticed when we worked together was Tuesdays and Thursdays on the account we worked on were really heavy with meetings. So you got there at 8:30 and you went into a meeting, and around 5:30 you were dehydrated and ready to head home. So it was a long day of back-to-back meetings, and people were increasingly frustrated. So I don't want to go to all these meetings, but if I'm not in that meeting, what are they saying in there? What's happening behind closed doors? So there's this annoyance of having to go to all of these meetings, while in contrast, people were fearful that if they weren't in the meeting, they were missing something. Something was happening without them. Their buy-in wasn't being included, their views, their feedback. And so one of the things we did was we kind of unpacked this. We asked people questions. We empathized. Where are these frustrations really coming from? And one of the things we realized was not everyone needed to be in every single meeting, but how do you take away that stress that I'm missing something? So what we did was we started to make people optional. They transition away from these 8:30 to 5 days where people aren't really being as productive. And one of the great things we did, aside from adding an optional group, was we started to include agendas. So one of the repeatable processes that we implemented was, if you are going to send a meeting invite to anyone on this team, there needs to be an agenda that outlines your objective, your intended outcome, and action items. And one of the things that we started as a team implementing as well was there is a responsibility in being the person who's sending that out. Not only do you have the agenda, but you're also responsible for following up with the action items to make sure at the next meeting we've taken care of those. So we've created some accountability. And within our team, we designated kind of champions, and these change. So if there's a meeting where 6 members of your team don't all need to be there, but it's important information, we created a repository on GitHub where the meeting notes would be stored, but we also rotated a representative from each of the groups to attend those meetings so people still felt like they were participating and the decisions weren't being mandated to them.
So another thing that we might not always really think about is, as UX designers, our job is to empathize with people every single day. And a lot of our day is taken up trying to understand people we don't normally understand, or trying to understand a process that we don't have any familiarity with. So we already have those tools. And I think what change management in UX, a lot of the conversations Sarah and I had, is really kind of repurposing these tools to use on our own processes and speakers and people that we already interact with. And we're going to go through a specific situation a little bit. But these are just like a few of the ones that we're able to come up with. But really, we love to use a lot when we're dealing with clients and projects, but we can also use that in our own. So a lot of this can kind of seem a little bit up in the air and hypothetical. So we wanted to navigate through an actual scenario together.
We're going to work through the first one together, and then we're going to challenge you to work through one as a group. So our scenario here is you are on the design team, and increasingly there seems to be difficulty in collaborating with the developers. From what I have gathered, this is an age-old story. The design developer feud seems to run deep with many of people. And there are challenges that come out of this difficult situation.
Yeah, so maybe the teams are too silent and they operate way too independently. And maybe, so for us, our development team is remote and they operate on a meeting board, so that is a little bit of a communication barrier as well. Maybe QA is taking longer than anticipated. There might be designers who have front-end skill sets and developers who maybe have familiarity with design, but none of that is really need leverage, trust, and visibility. Handoff and what that looks like. What if it's just kind of handing the developer an image and be like, good luck, and then getting confused at the end about why the final product is not looking exactly the way that you kind of designed it or handed it while filing. So, in order to navigate that, one of the first steps is what Sarah's going to walk through.
So I'm going to give you kind of a roadmap to start. So this isn't the end-all be-all. This isn't every time a change happens or we see resistance, we go through this. But especially since this is kind of our introduction to you, we want to start with 3 steps. So the first step that we'd like to explore is identify the impact of not addressing these challenges. So if you don't mind, let's go back to the last slide. Can anyone share with us, maybe you've experienced this situation, maybe you just have an idea, but what's the impact of these challenges, or what have you seen? Last time on project?
Delays in delivery or increased cost.
Interpretation of requirements.
We
just don't want to work together.
Yes. Tension on teams. Think with my hand in the back.
I would say at the end of the day, there's kind of thought that not that much innovation can be done because the operation is different. So on the designers and at least build a good model to work with because developers and expectations that
So we're going to share a little bit about what we found, and I think that there's some duplicative topics in this. So conflicting priorities we heard, lack of trust and respect between teams, and I think that really comes from that tension. So as people are having a breakdown in communication, people no longer are trusting each other. People are going ahead with their own priorities. And again, to the point about time, where does it go? Because if I'm doing one thing and you're doing another, and we get to a handoff, and we weren't on the same page, then there's chaos. At least that's what I don't know about you guys, but it certainly makes for a difficult dynamic, and it doesn't feel good for anyone. You lose the camaraderie and the teamwork. It really, I think, impacts the project.
Yeah, absolutely. The next step that we've kind of identified is so a little bit of what I spoke about, which is using the UX tools that you already use to tackle situations in your own team. So maybe creating a persona for somebody who's on your team, a developer, understanding what their pain points are, where they might be struggling, things that they need in order to reach their deadline, but really kind of taking these practices of empathy that we already do for user experience, which again are listed here, and applying them in our own kind of change and resistance to change problem.
So our third step is identifying some key change management questions. So if you look on your desk, if you don't mind me grabbing this for a moment just to show, you have a handout that looks something like this. So Harim and I will send these out to everyone, just for everyone on the phone. Not on the phone, I know. But so we outlined some questions as they relate to change management, this change management mindset, and also some UX hacks. So based on the 3 pillars that we have at Excella, communication, engagement, processes, and procedures, we really identified, again, that overlap in these 3 pillars as we approach this problem. So the 3 questions that we outlined are, am I communicating across audiences clearly and consistently? So am I playing both sides of the fence? Do I say to my team, guys, the developers, they are awful. Their code, garbage. And then I go over to the developers and I'm like, those designers are talking a lot of smack about the code you wrote. And so am I doing that, or am I being honest of like, hey, this isn't great, let's come together and figure it out. Am I connecting the value of individual and team contributions to the success of the project? So this is big, especially in engagement. Am I communicating value? So it's very easy when there's friction on a team to lose sight of everyone's contributions, especially those who you're fighting against. But can we step outside ourselves and have a moment to say, you know what, without this person, we wouldn't have this technical capability. We wouldn't have this skill or this solution that's allowing us to move forward. But what are my contributions? How am I impacting the team? By sitting out of this meeting, by not being a participant in the conversations, by breaking down the communication, what is my personal impact? And that's a really difficult thing for most people to step back and look in the mirror. And then finally with the process, how can this process evolve to better reflect the needs of stakeholders? So I think this is, again, taking Harim's comment about kind of flipping UX and the tools that you have on their side. So rather than taking them out to strangers, let's look at our own team. Let's see how we can make things better.
Cool. So we are running a little low on time, so I'm just going to fly through this. So what does this allow you to walk away with? Obviously, it's not the answer to the problem, but really what it allows you to do is first assess the impact of the change. And really, you don't come to terms with that. I don't think you can actually come to terms with how to even solve the problem in the first place. The second thing, something we're all very familiar with as people familiar with your experience, is empathy. And the third is just kind of shifted mindset. And those change management questions, especially the ones that are on the handout, they will kind of give you the lens with which to look through these challenging problems and begin to think about how they can be tackled, especially collaboratively. Cool. So all of you wrote down challenges that you guys are facing on post-its at your own tables. And we really want to take this opportunity to allow you guys to work through them as much as possible. So if you guys could just, amongst your tables, just discuss, what it is that, pick one problem and then work through them using, you can use one of the steps, 2 of them or all 3 of them, but we've kind of given you through the visuals the tools to do that.
Mm-hmm. And there's poster boards on your table, so feel free to write them. We are going to ask a few groups to share if you're comfortable. So that's a great way. We can hold it up and you can kind of talk through it. So this is truthful. We will give you a few minutes to do this. So if you can, amongst yourselves, pick one and then see if you can work through it now with your change management lens.
Why did they say that when you first started?
If you can somehow do this, a good idea to like have everyone come in and do like a percent of exercise. All right, everyone come in here and like do a percent of each statement during this. That would take one of the things that we like essentially use and like get everybody
Every time. I don't even have the other one on. I'm very sorry. But I do get your attention in a really important way. Just as a quick reminder, please write on the poster board so we can share and so people can see what you're working through. So we're gonna give you about 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna come back together and do this.
That's terrible. This is my It's like all your product data is stored on the site or something. Right, it's like every little job is affected. All file sharing, collaboration. Yeah.
There's studies identifying some questions that you guys have. What are some questions that you think would help encourage
The impact of
Companies that continue to be right this year, right? Like companies that continue to operate efficiently, right? You know, essentially, Right. The lack of visibility leads to lack of efficiency. This makes it less I think also, I kind of wonder if they mean by this, like the challenges, just like, you know, I feel like exactly the answer to the right question that they say like the challenge of like not sort of managing these needs that like low morale, you need to say like,
Okay, so a question that we keep getting is the change management questions. This was a great learning moment for us. The CM questions on the left side of the handout, those are meant to guide you. You can pick from them all apart. They can also be kind of the foundation for a starting point, but you can customize them as well. So we encourage you to think, is this question applicable or can we craft something that's better? And we're also open to your feedback. So those are the, I think it's my Fitbit, for the record. I think it's my necklace Fitbit that keeps setting this thing off. And I won't take it off because I want my steps. But yes, CM is change management. So sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to clarify. This is just guys. If you guys deviate, I think that we appreciate the creativity. Really just trying to help you get in the habit of communicating. Start using these questions. Like I said, these aren't all. Every time I have a team conversation, here are my 9 questions I'm asking. It's contextual, it's customized. So if you guys have a different way of thinking through it, not linear, not following it, please feel free to share it with
So I think that's what this sheet is. Like the persona. It's like, okay, so I'm fixing the UX, change everyone would be able to come up with better solutions on how to move the databases on these guys. Everyone's fully aware of like everyone's role and what they do. As I'm the CFO, you're a creative person. Like, how is this change affect me? Maybe it's easy for me. So you sort of ignore me in the process, but for you, it's going to affect your day. So you have to know that. That's why I did that's the only Yeah. Might be a this one. So that's what you think. Usability testing. It's like, all right, like here's a template. Like, what does it look like?
Okay, I think we are ready to start going over these and discussing them a little bit. Starting now. So we just wanted to see if there were any volunteers at first to see if anyone wanted to present. And just kind of talk through the problems and work on it together.
Okay. First, second, is that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. You guys have a minute to settle in. So do you want me to hold this?
Oh.
Do you mind if I show the people on the table right now? Just kidding, I'm not this technologically behind. Okay, so we have someone who's about to present, and I'm going to try my best to get this for everyone. If there's anyone, oh, we have 3 viewers. Hi, viewers. Okay, here we go.
Nationwide. So our problem space was designing a new website for a university where they were changing their essentially their site map of their departments and trying to rebrand their departments to be more what people are expecting to be searching for, and not what necessarily the departments that internally identify themselves as. So step 1, evaluating the impact. So the impact would be students can't find things. They're searching for keywords that you are not supplying answers to, even though you have people who do that or departments that do that. Culture sort of suffers in the extent that internally people may identify I have a PhD in X, and now I don't see X as the words on the website. I feel like I lost my identity. Staff frustration. Users are coming online and going to the wrong place. Now you're fielding calls and answers and emails about things that have nothing to do with you. Loss of revenue. Someone may really want to join your college but can't find their major, and so they don't come. Inability to attract funding, research, things sort of deal. I'm searching a certain way that's sort of vernacular now, and you're talking to me internally. So step 2, what tools can we use from UX perspective? So personas. So personas are the students who are doing the searching. Personas are the department heads, the individual faculty and staff. Looking at usability testing, how are people actually going through the app? If they're searching, can't find things, are they dropping off? Similar with user journeys, same sort of thing. How are they coming in? What are they doing? Are they not able to find what they're looking for? Where are they ending up, or are they abandoning? And open card sorting, I think that was try to get all your department names out and try to basically build your site map as a department sort of hierarchical structure. So step 3, key management questions. So are you creating a safe space at university? I'm going to say all 3 because they're kind of the same thing. So you're creating a safe space. How can I support others and communicate more effectively? How is the audience I'm communicating with best receive info? University, you're going to have the entire gambit of folks from engineers to arts majors. You're going to have the entire personality spectrum of people who want to work independently, collaboratively, mind maps, spreadsheets, the whole gambit. So trying to have one communication plan for the whole university for them to feel good is probably going to fail.
Great. I would say, so to not leave you with a cliffhanger, yes, it's very difficult, but I think that creating a strategic communications plan, so maybe all of your communications aren't specifically targeted to those who receive emails or those who, you might have students coming in as undergrads and you have people who are adult learners, and there could be people who are super power users of social media and people who are like, I'll Twitter later or something, and they don't have any understanding or context. And so I think that if you can kind of break down majorities, but also try and touch all of those, I think that being consistent in the messages that you're disseminating will allow you to increase your chances for success. So whoever's project that is or problem, good luck. Let us know if you need support and help. Thank you so much for sharing. That was great. I guess, we have our second group. Yes. I apologize for all the pointing as well. I just, unfortunately, not yet. I'm working on it. I don't know everyone's name, so I apologize for that. Thank you. I can hold this for you as well.
I don't know if we need it.
I'll show the group your great work. I'll hold it as high as I can.
All right, so our situation, me and my friends, we go to the University of Maryland. We're learning how to do agile development. We have a project that we're working on for the class where we have to apply agile to it. What happened is we had 2 sprints where we were working on requirements. We had to use a SQLite database. And then on the 3rd sprint, we were asked to switch to a MySQL database. So essentially what happened was all the work that we did on our SQLite database had to be discarded. We had to continue on MySQL.
That was great.
Yeah, so now it was fine. We were able to do it in the end. The issue wasn't so much technical as much as we had to put that entire time again into recreating the database, learning how to use SQL, MySQL. And what happened essentially is after that, everybody just kind of lost faith in the process. We lost faith in Agile, lost faith in the class. People started arguing a lot more and frustration just started popping up. So that was the impact. So we decided that the UX tools that were necessary for this challenge are effectively journey mapping them. Letting people know that you have all these requirements, but know that things will change. Empathy, I guess from our teacher and TA's perspective, they could have empathized with us more in terms of, yeah, I understand this is frustrating that you're switching, instead of that attitude of, well, this happens in real life. And you guys, this is the learning experience, which was true, but for a lot of students still felt frustrated. So the third, step 3, the key management questions that we think are important is how to effectively debrief people that change will happen in the project. So letting people know that these are the requirements that you have so far, but know that you can go to sprint 5 and then all of a sudden a lot of the work that you did needs to change and you have to go back to 0. How to effectively prepare people for change. That's something that we could have used, is knowing, okay, you're working on something, but the requirements will change. And then the third question is, how does change affect relationships between stakeholders and decision makers? So that's that whole part of, he thinks this is important for us, but there is not friction between our teacher and our students, because even though he knows it's important and I kind of know it is important. Students still feel like it's frustrating that we're just consistently being told, okay, go from this database to this database, now interact all your databases together. So yeah, so that's what we have.
Thank
that's
you.
it, yeah.
That was great. So I think we talked about the design developer age-old challenge. With change management, something we often hear is how do you navigate through someone mandating something? So we have to make this change. How do we get through this? And I think to your example, which was great, thank you so much. The example of a professor saying, well, this is just how it is. And you having a desire and appetite for empathy in that situation. I think there's a balance, and I think asking these questions and having these conversations and being open in communication and creating that space. Oftentimes others won't create that space for you, and it's you creating that space for yourself, for those around you. But I think, and this is, I think, a teachable moment where we ourselves are implementing changes and we're putting forth directives or mandating something, because in reality, at some place in your career, you'll probably have to tell people they have to do something whether they like it or not. But I think that that's that moment to step back and say, here's why we're doing it. This is the value of the change that we're doing. Maybe something happened that led to that decision that you weren't privy to, and opening up a space to have that dialogue. I think also recognizing the value of the buy-in. So when we're mandating something to someone, saying without you buying into this and being an advocate and champion, this will fail because you do bring unique qualities and you do have special skill set. And this is how we're all working towards the same goal and vision together. So I think that that's kind of one of the hardest ones that people always kind of try to stump. I think during presentations, change management people with. And I think trying to, if you don't have that space or have that conversation, try and initiate that yourself, but also learn from others' mistakes and shortcomings and try to be better in your approaches. So thank you. And thank you everyone for that lovely moment of empathy together. I think it really drove our point home. I think I owe some people money later, but thank you so much. That was wonderful. With one more group that would like to share. It's been a long night. We understand if we're good. Anyone else? Okay, it's okay. We'll keep moving. Those are great examples. So you guys set the bar so high, no one will fall in.
Moving to our key taco ways.
Full circle there, everybody.
There's a lot of great that. Yeah, really want to do that. So first of all, I think we were able to see the power of identifying the impact of changes and understanding that really the change management process and starting to tackle these problems can't really start until we tackle what it is that this change is going to affect and impact.
Change management, specifically the questions it raises, act as a lens in which we're able to navigate these changes more effectively. So we really hope you walk away just thinking maybe a little differently. Maybe tomorrow when something comes up, you can say, hey, that's change management. And you have a resource that you can look at. Also, we're really happy to act as support and resources. So if you're looking for change management articles or information, additional insights, or you have a problem and you want to talk about it, Kareem and I are both very available and willing to have those conversations and those relationships.
Yeah, and lastly, just like not underestimating the tools that we already use to address problems that our users are facing all the time, and the processes that we're looking to change, and using those tools and methodologies to also address the problems that we are facing ourselves. And those are also great tools to apply to these problems that we kind of listed early on today, and I think some of that we tackled in our activity. So with that, we look forward to questions if there are.
When you think about navigating change management, who is doing it? Is it you who's identified the fact that there needs to be change, or managing change management? Do you assign somebody that you know will be good at it? You bring it up as a team, you talk about it, and then like assign yourself to somebody else? How does that work?
Sure. So I think that it can happen in different ways. I think the great thing about Excella and for us is that we do have a change management practice. So when people identify a change management problem or need, our change management analysts and product consultants, we're very lucky to have Tess here tonight. She's another change management analyst at Excella, available. So we've all really made ourselves available as resources to support people we're also on the ground. So within my own team and with my clients, I identify change management challenges, problems, opportunities, and then I help to provide the tools and navigate through that as well. We also try and create champions and people within our organization. So we have classes that we teach, and we give people similar tools to what we've done tonight, so they can identify it. I think to your question and to your point, do I ask people? Do I assign someone? How do I go through it? I think you've taken the first step, just even recognizing it, and then you're starting the conversation. And so I think kind of with this agile mindset, is self-organizing. Maybe someone's like, hey, I'd like to learn more about this too. Maybe I'll go to a meetup and get some additional skills that I can bring back. And I think as a group here tonight, hopefully you bring to those conversations an openness and a willingness to hear the other person out. So I think that just taking the questions that we've given you, and maybe that moment of looking at yourself in the mirror, maybe that helps you slow down as well, and then it allows you to be a better team member and navigate through these challenges a little more effectively.
My question is, we talked about how empathy and emotional intelligence is important in teams. And I guess I wanted to know, how do you identify someone having those two tools, and how do you develop those two tools in yourself, like the empathy and emotional intelligence?
I think that's a great question. Thank you for that one. I think that within yourself, there has to be a desire. So I think if you're looking to have empathy, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't give all of the intricacies of how that would evolve. But I think, again, you're taking the first step. You want to connect with people more effectively. I encourage you, if you're concerned about your emotional intelligence and your level of empathy and how you're connecting, to really listen. It doesn't necessarily seem as proactive, but it's a great way to learn about cultural norms, to understand the landscape in which you're operating and functioning. And I think that that allows you to have a greater emotional intelligence. And I think to that point as well, emotional intelligence, it's reading the room, it's understanding, it's taking social cues, it's being able to effectively work with people and communicate with people and engage with people. And so I think that if you kind of take, again, this is not the end all be all what we've told you tonight. This is not, solving the world's problems, but hopefully it's chipping away at them a little bit. And you can take that to your projects and your teams and connect with people in a different way and lead by example and encourage others to have this similar exploration. So I think that that hopefully will have that positive effect.
And I think also on a more actionable and practical level, you can also look at pretty much any user experience, like research method or methodology or practice is really about taking yourself out of the equation, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. So kind of like that list, which we will send out the slides for, you can look at any of those, and really all of those activities are kind of taking yourself out of, again, the problem, the equation, and just looking at it from somebody else's perspective, and that's a great way to gain empathy as well.
Just a quick follow-up question, how would you identify it in someone else, let's say?
Empathy?
Empathy, emotional intelligence, how do you know this person sees, in your opinion, how do you?
My very first thought, to be honest, and maybe I didn't think through this, we'll see, thinking out loud, but how I would see empathy in someone else, if something happens around me, so say for instance, my best friend at work got fired. If someone comes up to me and says, how did that person get fired affect our team, or is connecting, or are they asking me how I'm doing? If they're taking it back to the process or the technical side of things, and they're not asking me, maybe they're not reading the room. If I'm clearly impacted by my best friend leaving a project, maybe that's something. So I think that empathy, connecting, again, also people who do have the capability, to Kareem's great point about tying it back to UX, this intersection, can people remove themselves from it? Can people feel what others are feeling? And I think that's evident on a lot of teams, that there tends to be one person, so there are a few people who might not always be the partner or your manager, your supervisor, or your boss. There's other cultures that form, and there's other social dynamics that very organically happen on teams. And so if you see someone who is connecting with people, if they're always the person who's like, oh, how's your day? Or how's this? Or, oh man, that was rough. Like, what's going on now? Or, just having those questions and connections, I think that's how you're identifying. If you have someone who just blows everyone off and is like, how's this impacting me? And that's probably not the best person to try and get as your champion. But maybe by leading by example, you can bring them over as well.
Get that.
Sure. What
So
are we doing?
in your work,
Good.
you know, as a consultant, so one thing you often find with especially teams who are trying to move fast is something a label like UX or change management sometimes sounds weighty, like process, extra work, things you got to do. And so, how do you navigate sort of the I need to do sort of this change management without having to sort of create another layer of something else to do, sort of jujitsu it, sort of where you're doing so maybe they don't know they're doing change management, but you're doing it to them without having to.
I know one of the great ways to do that is to kind of identify places where they were already doing it and kind of like, well, this is actually all on. There's actually an importance to it and a user experience. We were taught that has to be user experience all the time. We do that all the time. Our time is really for that. And I think Sarah can use the change management for this.
Sure. I think this is actually one of the things that Harim and I originally bonded over. Of people saying like, "Oh, we do UX and we do change management." Like, what does that actually mean? And I don't know if are. So kind of that upward battle of feeling as if you're selling yourself or you're trying to make a case for change management. I think one of the things that through working together and creating presentations and presenting together that we've really seen is that you can design the most epic thing ever, but if no one uses it, what's the point? What's the value? So you just exhausted all this time, all this resources. I know that you are all investing a lot of yourself in the work that you're doing. If it's not being used by people, what's the point? And so really, that's a great way for me to say, let me support you in this. Let me take some of the things that you don't necessarily like doing because you're a hyper-technical person focused on a data warehouse, but you need a strategic communications component. You need to get buy-in and encourage people so you can get budget and funding. There's a lot of things that you can break down. And that's one of the reasons I said we have these 3 pillars as our foundation. So it's kind of identifying those pockets of where they're doing things or where there's opportunities to elevate what they're doing to a greater level and then showing them how they can do that. I think we'll do one more, if that's okay. One more? Yes, thank you.
So, it's a given that rate of change is increasing. Technology, innovation, and all that, so it's creating a lot of disruption. And my question is, do you think that companies should have in-house, I don't know, maybe a change management or something like that? Given that change is happening every single day, somebody has to be watching change happening, look back at the insights embedded in the culture, be able to sort of make it part of the culture to do change.
Selfishly, for myself, yes, because I'd like a job as I go in my career trajectory. So hopefully, everyone at Excella hear that. But I do think it's valuable, and I think it's something that we've seen at Excella is there's change management internally and externally. So there's internal-facing changes that are happening. Our organization has grown almost doubled in the last year. And there's growing pains associated with that. And one of the things that we're lucky enough to have is the support and change management people in our organization to say, hey, let's slow down and think about how this is impacting the employees and how can we communicate this. If you go in and one night at a presentation, you have a slide that's like, and there's no longer fruit in the kitchen. You're like, what the heck? That's where I get my breakfast every morning. And people will get really upset. But if you say, there are some changes happening, we're going to be evolving what's happening here, you slowly introduce it clearly and you communicate that to them with these change management lenses, it kind of lightens that blow and it can also allow them to see why you're doing that. So
Because the change management companies are brought in a situation of crisis, right? Yeah. Or something big is happening. Support is that there's always change happening all the time. And somebody's managing that change as a way of life, right? You won't get these crises that happen because this change happens to be big this time. And people are not used to digesting change.
I do think there's a role, and I think that I appreciate that lens as well. And I think that Yes, organizations. I think people are really starting to grow this appetite for change management. I think especially in the technical space, as things happen and evolve so quickly, people are realizing others are being left behind. Users need that communication and that engagement. You're doing all of the legwork to create something that reflects them, but we need to now get them to use that. And so how can we do those things? So I think that yes, every day the only thing you can depend on is change. And I think that having people in-house is a great resource, and it allows you, as one person, it's very difficult to try and manage all of that. But I think having a team, to your point, and having people at different levels with different experiences allows us to support that more effectively. I think it depends on the organization. Yeah. Sorry. And we have one last thing. So Harim and I were talking leading into this about our careers and some experiences we've had. And something I mentioned earlier was when I was working in New York, I thought nothing of it. My mom was coming to visit, and I had her come to my office. You're like, what are you doing? This is very weird. And we were talking, we said, how many of us in our lives have our significant others, our parents, or someone, every night we call them and we're like, man, my life is tough, or I did this day. But they don't ever really get to see what you do or experience it. I selfishly, and I apologize, I want to give a shout out, my mom came tonight. She hears me call a lot and talk through my challenges and days, so it was really special that I got to have her here and experience it. So thank you everyone for being so welcoming and kind to her, and thanks Mom for coming. So thank you guys so much for everything tonight and having us. Oh, sorry. Andy, go ahead.
Pigeons. Carrier pigeons.
So, we're going to stop here in a second. There we go. Hey, everybody. So, first of all, big thank you tonight to Excella and our speakers. It was awesome. Awesome workshop. I will confess, I actually didn't know it was going to be a workshop, so this is wicked cool. We've only done, hey internet. We actually have only done a couple workshops over the years, and they're always awesome. So I was so excited to see materials and things. So excellent. We hope everyone had a really good time this evening. A couple last things to wrap up, and then we'll socialize a bit. What was that? Oh. Well,
I did that, sorry.
That's how I was just going to say wrap it up. So if you'd like to know more about Excella, you can go to excella.com, find out more about them there. Next month's event is going to be at Viget, and Capital One is going to be sharing work they've been doing on their mobile apps with us. So we're super excited about that one. And Viget's an awesome space. If you haven't been there, it's really fun. So, and they're in Falls Church. I forget if it's Metro friendly.
It's a little bit of a hike.
A little bit of a hike from Metro. Yeah. So you know. Yeah.
Is it in Merrifield, the Loring area?
No. It's right at the intersection of Lee Highway and Route 7.
Intersection of Lee Highway and Route 7.
It's part of Falls Church.
And then we said it's a Metro hike.
But there's a bar right under it.
Exactly.
So, you know, if you're thirsty after your long walk, you can get it here. Excellent. So we were talking between things. How many people took the Metro tonight?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there we go. A bit of a running joke. Back at Atlas, we had a Metro stop. It was kind of at the end of the street, but it's Silver Line, Northern Virginia, so no one really needed the Metro, so it was kind of a running joke. No one ever took it. But here, hey, that's awesome. Great. Glad you could do that. So one last time, who's hiring? Raise your hand. If you are looking, look around. We'll all be here hanging out for a little bit. Let's see. One last thing. If anybody has any feedback about tonight's event or about NoVA UX, if you would like to be standing up here speaking, if you'd like to host an event or sponsor an event, this really awesome pizza, which is going to be a tough show to follow up on. That was really awesome pizza. I think we have leftovers too. We would love to hear from you. So hit me up, hit Will up. I'm Jim Lane NoVA. You can also reach me at jim@contactually.com. And you can find all of our Twitter handles and stuff on the website. So look us up. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Hope you had fun, and we will see you next month.
Can I ask one
Oh
more
yeah,
thing?
one more thing. One more
One
thing.
more thing, sorry. If you enjoyed change management tonight, there's more. We have the change management practice at Excella actually hosts a change management meetup. We're the DMV's only change management meetup. We are meeting quarterly, so sorry, Monday was our last one, but there's one to come. So check out Change Management Meetup on meetup.com and come join us for more great conversations. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. Make it anything to post on the event.
That'd
Post
be
the links to
great.
the meetup.
Wonderful.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
It's been a long time.
That
was fun. How have you been?
I know, I'm jealous. Oh my goodness, I love Olga so much. I miss her like a minute.
She was like, oh yeah, I can send you. I know both.
You're like, I know everyone. I'm gonna come for a little bit. So I'm flying out at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday. So I was like, oh, well,
Where are you going?
I'm going to San Diego and then going to New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's like
so,
a-
yeah, so we have to go to San Diego because it's like my husband's like 1 year anniversary, and they didn't have a wedding, like for their wedding. So they had like a private ceremony in Hawaii. And then like a couple of people. So then they're like, well, let's invite everyone. So we were going to go somewhere else. But then it just ended up being, oh, well, why don't we just go to New Orleans and dinner together? Like, even though it's all day out,
Yeah.
I'm having a rough time. I don't know. I just thought but like basically for the interview like 2 months ago, and they were like, "You're not good." Really good. And after that, I elevated all that. And then they let go of every square. I don't know if you know the Danish. So I'm gonna make a face and
We're definitely a little bit so it's a big it's great. So many
just let me know if there's any openings or anything like that. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know, anything or like.
yeah, she's my mom. She brought me